Good morning, friends. It is Wednesday, April 22nd. Hope you're well. Thank you to District Superintendent Steve Morton. He's also my former pastor from Hopewell United Methodist Church. Thank you for sending us that devotional video and for your message as we continue to settle into our new normal, our new existence. Well, today I want to continue on with the theme of Jonah. We are in the midst of a 4-week study in church, so you can tune in to the worship on Sunday. You can watch the Right Now Media videos as we go along. But I want to continue to encourage engagement and hear what you have to say, and I want you to think about obedience today. So with the sermon on Sunday, I was talking about disobedience brings disaster, and we were looking at Jonah's disobedience to God. God told him to do something, and Jonah ran away. I asked the question on Sunday, has there been a time in your life where you were kind of felt like you were being nudged by God to do something, and you just couldn't really pull the trigger on it? Well, today, let's flip that around and go to the positive side. Today, I want to ask you this. You don't have to share this if you don't want to. If you want to message me privately and tell me a story, I'd love to hear that. But this is for you today. Maybe take your journal and write down and reflect on this question. Was there a time in your life when you did what you felt God was calling you to do? When you obeyed what God was maybe nudging you to do, and you just saw incredible results? So think about that, and think about a time in your life where God pushed you or encouraged you to do something and you listened. And through that listening and through that doing what God had called you to do, you saw some really cool results. So write that in your journals. If it's personal, keep it to yourself. That's fine. I just want this to be between you and God. But if you want to message me or contact me through the church and tell me a story about how you obeyed God and incredible things happened, that would be awesome. I do have a story to share with you about obedience. So this comes from my friend Annette. Many of you know Annette. And in February, around Valentine's Day, I preached a message called Go the Second Mile. It was all about going that extra mile and how God, through the example of Jesus saying, if someone forces you to go 1 mile, go with them 2. And there's a whole Roman soldier component there. You can probably look up that message somewhere online. But the point was this. I was challenging all of us to go the second mile, to really step out in faith and do something this week. Listen to God and go the second mile. Do something this week to obey God. Well, my friend Annette told me later that week this story. She said, I'm fired up. I hear the sermon. I stand up out of my seat in Sunday worship. Worship has concluded, and she stood up out of her seat saying to herself, okay, I'll do it. I'll go the second mile this week. At that exact moment, somebody taps her on the shoulder and goes, hey, sorry to bother you. You're Annette, right? She says, yeah. The lady shared with her, you shared your testimony at the women's retreat just the previous month. She says, yeah. And this woman then opens up to her, and they have a 30-minute conversation because a month previous, Annette had stepped out of her comfort zone and shared her testimony, incredibly personal testimony, at that women's retreat. Now, this woman was at the women's retreat, heard that testimony, and said, this is a person that understands what I'm going through. So as Annette stepped out in obedience, stepped out of her comfort zone, and shared that testimony, that planted a seed. Then a month later, she gets up out of her seat, out of worship, where she has just in her mind said to God, yes, I will obey you. Yes, I will go the second mile today. Whatever you have for me. And it's like she couldn't even finish the sentence before God said, okay, here you go. And this person tapped her on the shoulder, and they had a long, meaningful conversation. Isn't that an incredible story? Isn't that an incredible picture of if we are willing to be obedient to God, God will use us in powerful, powerful ways. So think about that in your own life. Has there been a time when, unlike Jonah in the book we're studying, you felt like God was calling you to do something and you responded by saying, okay, yes, God, I will obey what you're calling me to do. And then you had incredible results. Write that down in your journal. Again, if you want to contact me and tell me some stories, that's great. You can do that. I'd love to hear it. But the point of this exercise is by journaling these things, we are calling to mind how God has been so faithful to us in the past, and how by being obedient to God, by stepping out of our comfort zone, by stepping out in faith, God has worked in our lives in powerful, powerful ways. So I hope that's encouraging you today. Think about that, write those things down, and let it be a strengthening to your faith today. I'll see you tomorrow. God bless.